Selamat menyaksikan Asyk Channel. Sehat sukses.
Excellencies, distinguished G20 leaders, welcome to this luncheon. At this lunch, I have two guests that I wish to invite to speak. First, President of the IOC, Mr. Thomas Bach, and the second, President of FIFA, Mr. Gianni Infantino. Now I would like to invite Mr. Thomas Bach to deliver his speech. The floor is yours, Mr. Bach.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Joko Widodo, President of the Republic of Indonesia and Chair of the G20 Summit. Your Excellencies, please allow me first of all to thank our gracious host, President Joko Widodo, for the great honor to be able to address you, the world leaders. I applaud him for choosing its motto for this summit, Recover Together, Recover Stronger, which perfectly resonates with our new Olympic motto, Faster, Higher, Stronger, Together. The global pandemic made it crystal clear how important sport is for our physical and mental health. Sport can save lives. This is why the International Olympic Committee is working closely with the World Health Organization to promote healthy and resilient societies through sport. Olympic athletes are central to this as role models for healthy lifestyles. The excellent cooperation with the governments of Japan and China and our close partnership with the WHO were crucial for us to successfully and safely organize two editions of the Olympic and Paralympic Games during the height of the pandemic. During these dark times, the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 and the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022 gave so many people around the world hope and optimism. The countless messages of appreciation from all walks of life are summed up in an excellent way by WHO Director General Dr. Tedros, who said, "The Olympic Games bring the whole world together in solidarity and in a celebration of hope." We can only bring the whole world together if the athletes from all 206 national Olympic committees can participate at the Olympic Games. This is what the Olympic and Paralympic Games are about, the whole world together in peaceful competition without any discrimination whatsoever. For Tokyo 2020 and Beijing 2022, the challenge to bring the whole world together was the pandemic. Today, the challenge for the Olympic Games are consequences of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. Russia's violation of the Olympic Charter by violating the Olympic Truce Resolution adopted unanimously by the United Nations General Assembly. At the same time, we are supporting the athletes and members of the Ukrainian Olympic Committee everywhere with all our solidarity. But in contrast to the far too many other wars and conflicts in our world, regarding this war, some governments started to decide which athletes would be allowed to participate in international sports competitions and which athletes not. They did, and they do so, purely on political grounds. They want to decide which athlete can now qualify and finally compete at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. If sport becomes, in this way, just another tool to achieve political goals, international sport will fall apart. Because it is the very essence of international sport that decisions about participation and results of athletes have to be based purely on the sporting merit of an athlete. If, however, this kind of politicization of sport becomes the norm, it will be impossible for sport to be such a unifying force. We need the participation of all athletes who accept the rules, even and especially if their countries are in confrontation or at war. A competition between athletes from only like-minded states is not a credible symbol of peace. In this age of division, our role is clear: to unite the world and not to deepen divisions. To live up to this unifying mission, the IOC must be politically neutral. To allow future hosts to welcome the best athletes of the entire world, regardless of political conflicts, I appeal to you, the world leaders, to support this political neutrality. France, Italy, the United States of America, and Australia are the next Olympic hosts. In at least 8 G20 countries, there is already now declared interest in hosting future Olympic and Paralympic Games. This is why I humbly ask you, give us this opportunity to contribute to peace and understanding through sport. Support the autonomy of sport as you have done so previously in so many UN resolutions and declarations. There are not many occasions when all humankind can set aside our differences and come together in peace. As the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, the Olympic spirit is the most important symbol of peace in today's world. Let us not abandon this precious unifying mission of the Olympic and Paralympic Games in a time when the world needs more solidarity and peace. As you, the G20 leaders, are shaping the new post-pandemic world order, I am very grateful that I can personally ask you today to support this unifying mission of the Olympic Games, and I appeal to you to express this support in a G20 statement as you deem appropriate. In this Olympic spirit of solidarity and peace, I thank you for your kind consideration. I reiterate the call to you, the world leaders, that I made already at the opening and closing ceremonies of the Olympic Winter Games 2022. Give peace a chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas Bach. Our second speaker is Mr. Gianni Infantino, the President of FIFA. Mr. Infantino, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, dear President Widodo. Thank you for hosting us in your beautiful, beautiful country. Dear President, dear heads of states and governments, dear delegates, dear friends, I want to speak to you about the one topic which I believe all of you here will agree on. Football. Football is truly unique, and football unites the world. FIFA is an organization of 211 countries, more than the United Nations, and we bring football to the world. Last month we were in India for the girls under 17 World Cup, which Spain won. Next year we will return to Indonesia for the boys under 20 World Cup. And we unite the world through football. We encourage countries to come together to co-host events and World Cups. As such, next year we will be in Australia and New Zealand for the Women's World Cup. And then Canada, Mexico, and United States for the Men's World Cup in 2026. But coming to the present, in 5 days' time, the 2022 FIFA World Cup will kick off in Qatar. It is the first major tournament after the pandemic. It is the first time it will be played in the Middle East as well. And I can assure you that Qatar and FIFA have prepared everything to ensure everyone is welcome for a big celebration, and you are obviously all most welcome. And it must be said as well that Qatar made significant reforms over the last few years, also thanks to the World Cup. As a consequence of that, for example, hundreds of thousands of workers enjoy better conditions than some years ago. So 3 million fans will fill the stadiums, and 5 billion people, more than half of the world population, will watch the games on TV. Entire countries will come to a standstill. Now, dear leaders, you are, of course, representing the largest economies in the world. So let me say one word about economics and football. Because you might not know that the global football GDP is almost $300 billion. And whilst 90% of the fan base of football is outside of Europe, 70% of this global football GDP is produced within Europe. So just imagine the potential for the global economy if the rest of the world would produce even half of what Europe generates in relative terms, and its impact on their respective GDPs all over the world. This would add another 200 or 300 billion in global football GDP. It would add 3 to 4 million jobs for a global football GDP of $500 billion or more US, and this would contribute certainly to narrowing the income gap and growing global wealth, which are yours and also FIFA's priorities. But of course, football is, as you all know, much more than just an economy. Football is also much more than just a sport. It has a huge social impact. You all know what football means to your people, to your countries. It is about passion, it is about inclusion, it is about tolerance, it is about non-discrimination, and it is about education. Football is an investment in our children for our future. And football, of course, as sports, unites the world. And because football unites the World Cup is an occasion to bring people together in peace, enjoy something deeply needed in the turbulent times we live in. 7 months ago in Doha, at the occasion of the World Cup draw, when the world was watching, I made a plea for peace on behalf of the global football community. Today, 5 days before the start of that World Cup, I reiterate that plea. Football is a force for good. Of course, we are not naive to believe that football can solve the world's problems. For this, you are there. We know that our main focus as a sports organization is and should be sports. But because football unites the world, this particular World Cup, with 5 billion people watching it, can be the trigger for a positive gesture, for a sign or a message of hope. Dear leaders, Russia hosted the last World Cup in 2018. Ukraine is bidding to host the World Cup in 2030. Maybe that the current World Cup starting in 5 days can really be that positive trigger. So my plea to all of you is to think on a temporary ceasefire for 1 month for the duration of the World Cup, or at least the implementation of some humanitarian corridors or anything that could lead to the resumption of dialogue as a first step to peace. You are the world leaders. You have the ability to influence the course of history. Football and the World Cup are offering you and the world a unique platform of unity and peace all over the world. So let's take this opportunity to do everything we can to start putting an end to all conflicts. Thank you very much. And this is the official ball of the World Cup. Every one of you will receive such a ball with your name on it, so make sure you get it. And in the meantime, if you don't mind, I would like to ask everyone to sign maybe this particular ball, and then together with President Widodo, we can decide what we do with it. Thank you for your attention, and have a great day, and thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Infantino. Sports is very important in our life. Through sports, not only we become healthy, we also feel happier. I must stop here. Well, enjoy your lunch. Thank you.
Good. You can start from here to sign.
Asyk, ku tak akan melupakanmu.